10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All systems go.
You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by.
On the morning shift.
Anything
Could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk. On the morning shift, I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. Thankful that you're here with us as we navigate some of our... we'll just be back here in a second as we navigate some of our technology here. Getting off to a bit of a late start this morning, as things are usually interesting here when we're dealing with technology. But we're live on CKLU 96.7 FM on the radio, terrestrial radio. We're also streaming live at cklu.ca. Just make sure to like, share, subscribe, follow the channel, the page, and that is, Facebook and YouTube, as we're live on those two platforms. And we'll also be on demand on those two platforms, along with x.com/Sudbury News after the show, along with Sudbury.news, which is our news aggregator, which we will be taking our news from today, as we usually do, which aggregates all the local news into one website. We'll start off with a little bit of weather. We'll get into some local news headlines. We'll share your comments. So make sure to comment on those two platforms. We'll do our best to get them up on the screen for those watching, read for those listening. And, we got a great show planned for you today, even though it's truncated a little bit. We will not be having a show tomorrow or Friday, as we will be on the road. And if I'm able to check in, I will, via my cell phone or whatever. Maybe we'll just discuss a few things. I'm not sure, but more than likely, there will just not be anything tomorrow or on Friday, and hopefully we'll be back on Monday. So with that, let's dive in with a little bit of weather. We'll be back right after that with news headlines, your comments, and more right after this. And Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca for this August the 6th, 2025. I'm going to wish my brother a happy birthday ahead of time, because tomorrow I won't be on the show. So I wish my mother a happy birthday tomorrow. My brother a happy birthday for the next day, because they're kind of back to back. So happy birthday to my mom and my brother, the 7th and the 8th of August. Currently, it's 15 degrees out there. It's mainly sunny. And today we can expect a mix of sun and cloud with a 30% chance of showers this afternoon with local smoke. High of 27, humidex 32. The UV index is 7 or high. Partly cloudy tonight with a 30% chance of showers. Risk of thunderstorm overnight. Local smoke and low of 17. Tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud with a 40% chance of showers, a risk of thunderstorm in the afternoon, local smoke in the morning and early in the afternoon. Wind becoming south 20 kilometers, gusting to 40 late in the morning. High of 27, humidex 33, UV index 8 or very high, cloudy periods, and low of 17. That's tomorrow night. So as you can see in the long-range forecast here, today and tomorrow, 30% chance of showers, 40% chance of showers. And then Friday, high of 26 with a 30% chance of showers. Same thing for Saturday, only a high of 29. on Saturday with a 30% chance of showers all across the board up until Monday. 26 degrees on Sunday, 26 degrees on Monday, and then a mix of sun and cloud on Tuesday. So you got 30% chance of showers pretty much for Wednesday through next Monday, with the exception of tomorrow with a 40% chance of showers, and anywhere between 26 degrees and 29 degrees. So it's pretty, similar each day from now until next Monday. So that's your weather brought to you by Local Smoke. I'm going to make a business called Local Smoke, and it'll get a lot of advertising from here on in until it changes. And that's your Sudbury weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. Maybe Local Smoke soon to come. And that's all we got for you. Stay tuned. We're going to have your comments, news, headlines, and more right after this. Okay, and we're back. Thanks for sticking around. Lots of stuff today to talk about. As usual, there's always something to talk about. But let's get a few shout-outs in, and we'll get on with our headlines. Good morning. Blessings, everyone. That's Nana. Good morning to you. Thanks for the rice, Nana. That's from Tina. And good morning, Judy on Facebook. Good morning, everyone from Barrie, Marianne, liked and shared as usual. And Andrew, good morning, bright and early today, Andrew. That's great. It's great to have you on. Belinda, good morning. You usually have a statement of the day. You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. Keep planting seeds and keep speaking the truth. So just when you think you can't change anything or anyone, you just never know when your example actually does something. So keep being you and keep going with the flow, on going with your gut and what you think is right, and keep speaking the truth, living the truth, and it is it catches on. It's catchy. Okay, Monique. Good morning, Sudbury. Cool shades emoji. Monique, they won't let me like Facebook. No, they won't. I have so many of you that are on each and every day, and I check in on, on the likes or whatever the emojis are for the show. And then it shows me who's following, who's been invited to follow, and all of that. And there's about 1/3 of people that are following that are on the show on a regular basis. And I think it's just, including my wife, it won't allow her to follow my page as much as she tries. It says she is, and then I go to check and it's not, and then she goes back and she's not. And a few people like that, it bounces them off even. So it is what it is. It's a platform of people that don't really necessarily appreciate what we talk about. So, they get in there and try and do their thing, and it is what it is. We're still on. So we'll take advantage of it and appreciate it for what it is, and while we got it. Oh, I froze. Hopefully I'm not going to freeze anymore. And good morning, Northern Hillbilly. Good morning, people. The censorship is in full swing. And that's Marianne. Liette, good morning. Hand clap. Everyone from Collingwood, good morning to you as well. Liette, I hope everything's going well with yourself. And Sudbury Steffi says, hello, everyone. Protest in Serpent River, 10 a.m. to 12 noon tomorrow. Protest is to stop the spray of glyphosate. Hope to see you all there. We are stronger together. And yes, Denise, thanks for sharing that with me this morning. Also, between Sault Ste. Marie and Sudbury, in the next few days in August, they are going to be handing out pamphlets about that, because apparently in Quebec, they have banned the use of spraying chemicals in our forests, but have not done it in Ontario. And there's some activist groups, and thankfully so, that are shedding some light on that subject. And thank you very much for that. And thanks, Sudbury Steffi. Monique, Yeah, 100%. Cool. And whose granddaughters, twins, turned 14 today? I don't know who's speaking to who here, so I just shout out to you for that. And Belinda says, riddle me this. How does mass immigration strengthen our country, but not their own? There you go. So there's a riddle for everyone today. How does mass immigration strengthen our country, but not their own? Right? So people coming from all different countries in Canada, are we weakening a bunch of countries by having them strengthen our country? Is that fair to their countries? You know, do we ever think of that? Or is it the opposite? Does it strengthen their countries too because of the economic situation of people here? Maybe it strengthens people back home too, because I know a lot of people help and assist people from their original countries after being here, or help them come here as well. And so who knows how all that plays out. Very complicated, complex, layered. And good morning. I could say Rogue, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but good morning. Yes, for sure. And glad to have you on again. And I apologize if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. And or that could be a handle as well. I'm not 100% sure. And Belinda, happy birthday. Oh, thank you. Yes. To my mom and bro. And Sudbury Steffi says, stop the spray of glyphosate protest, August 14th, 10 a.m. to noon, Supin River Trading Post. So that's exactly when it's going to be. And they'll be handing out pamphlets and things apparently to people on the highway as well. So if you're traveling that day, expect to get some information on that. Good morning, Nickel City Patriots. Brian, you're up and running. Great to see that and great to have you on. Yeah, August the 14th on the highway. Our native brothers and sisters are gathering and we are invited. It would be the best that we show up. It's against the spraying of our forests and lands and how it's killing everything. Please join us, please. And that's Serpent River, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. You'll know what to do on that day, August the 14th. Hazel, good morning to you. Yes, I'm late today too. Same to you, Pat. Good morning, y'all. Denise says, I had a hard time sending a message to you, and you're right. It has just disappeared and went into normal messages. It took me a few tries. Yeah, something's going on with, but it is what it is. At least we're able to use it, right? So it's not 100% gone. It will be at some point. I'll be 100% gone at some point, obviously, as our country is changing and changing the laws and making it so that way freedom of speech is not freedom of speech anymore. It's just say whatever the government wants you to say, and you'll be able to buy food. That's basically what it's going to boil down to. Liette says, I used to get notifications. No more. Issues on my end, too, with likes. Jerome, good morning to you. True health-seeking truth troopers. And Quebec has stopped the spraying. And I get no notifications for anything I follow. Maybe we should make a play on the Rolling Stones song. I don't get no notifications. Instead of satisfaction, in case you didn't pick up on that. And, so Marianne, your granddaughters. That's a wonderful, it's a birthday, correct? So that's awesome. And Northern Hillbilly says, everyone has influence when they speak the truth. Influence is the influencer. Influence the influencer, exactly. Yeah, so again, the protest is in Serpent River Trading Post, 10 a.m. to noon. So if you want to know exactly where to go, August the 14th, 10 a.m. to noon, Serpent River Trading Post. Can't miss it. It's a huge, beautiful edifice in Serpent River. Good question. Where are the immigrants coming from and why? Should they not be strengthening their own homeland? Possibly, right? Are we taking from other people's to strengthen ours? It's just something that's never been discussed or whatever. We just only see the narrative that's given to us. And it could be looked at as an invasion, Belinda, exactly, by some. And, you know, if you look at some of the numbers and economically, it does definitely impacts our economy in many ways. It's, as we talked about yesterday on the show, what happened to Canada, it's certainly no longer the same place where I was raised, and that is true. Okay, a couple of last things, then we'll head into our... And then good morning, Brian. Great to have you on. Thanks for being with us. And let's see here. We got a couple more things. If I could find them. Okay, so Highway 17, I'm going to pick Highway 17, Highway 6 hospital, and you sent out a Manitoulin Island, Sagamuk, and other reserves, and I'm really hoping more people will show up. Got to keep sharing it. We have at least 1 week to share and get people to go, for sure. And if we can rally our First Nation brothers and sisters to look at the things we talk about on the show, you know, who are we really at odds with in reality, right? Like the mainstream would like to put us at odds with each other because of colors of skin, language, culture, things like that. But it's not. It's elites against the rest is really, honestly, what it really boils down to. And as soon as we unite in knowing that, that's, I think, the only hope we could really have. And so if anyone could understand, you know, the elites and what they've done to us would be our First Nation brothers and sisters, obviously. And we had Chief Mediga on the show quite some time ago, and he said, you know, they're doing it to everyone now just like they did it to them. He kind of said it's our turn now to go through what they experienced. And to a large extent, he's right. And Evelyn, good morning. Sorry for missing a few episodes. No problem. Yes, you have been busy, and that's totally, totally fine. So let's dive into a couple stories here from the Sudbury Star. Some sad news coming out of Capriol recently. There was an 11-year-old who died in an off-road vehicle crash near Capriol. August the 4th, when this off-road vehicle he was riding on crashed near Capriol. In a release, Greater Sudbury Police said officers were called out at about 12:20 p.m. to a single vehicle collision on an unnamed road near Port-Alliance Road north of Capriol. Police were told the driver of an off-road vehicle lost control and the passenger riding in the side-by-side was ejected. The passenger, an 11-year-old youth, was airlifted to hospital, unfortunately pronounced deceased by medical professionals. And so my heart and prayers goes out to the family of this individual. And it's very traumatic, unexpected, and they are going to be going through quite a bit now. So again, prayers much needed for the family. Sad news. And this is a story, very sad too, that happened a couple years back. Do you remember the person on the lift at the flour mill when it slammed into the ground and was critically injured? Well, the city of Greater Sudbury was fined $75,000 for his serious injuries. This again coming from the Sudbury Star, and they have a newsletter they put out each and every morning, and you would be getting the same story that we're getting if you subscribe to that newsletter. It comes in at about 7 a.m. each morning. Perfect timing for us. The city of Greater Sudbury has been fined $75,000 for an incident at the flour mill silos 3 years ago that badly injured a worker. In issuing the fine, the Ontario Court of Justice followed a joint sentencing submission by the Crown Prosecutor and City of Greater Sudbury lawyer. In June, Justice Rastoul Mazzoli convicted the city of failing to provide supervision and failing to provide protection under the province's Occupational Health and Safety Act. An OK Construction employee was critically injured when the boom lift he was on while working on the flour mill silos toppled over at around 9:50 a.m. on June 6, 2022. Now, here's the thing. So the city was fined $75,000 because the city should have told the construction company there was some water infrastructure underneath there that was compromised, and that way they could have taken precautions where they put the skyjack or whatever. They did not tell OK Construction, and so that's why they're fined $75,000. They could have been fined millions of dollars, but they are only fined $75,000, which is what it is. Who knows why? But OK Construction was also fined $35,000 for not cleaning up needles before they did the construction. So if indeed this had never happened, they wouldn't have been fined for that because they wouldn't have looked at the situation. The guys would have went up, done their work on filling in cracks and doing whatever they were contracted to do at the flour mill. Then the work would have been done. They would have went away. The needles would have stayed there. But it's a city-owned property. I don't know why. And good morning, Pierrette. Thanks for being on. I don't know why the city wasn't fined for the needles. They fined the small construction company for not cleaning up the needles before they did the work. And fined the city for not letting them know that there was this compromised area underneath the ground that caused this accident to happen. They're only fined $75,000. They could have been fined millions of dollars, right? So it's just another case of what happens in the big leagues. And, you know, is the city really being held accountable the way that they should be being held accountable? Kind of sends a message in a way that, the city's not really accountable for things, really, honestly. That's what the message it sends to me. Speaking of myself, and the words and the opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of Laurentian University staff, faculty, or board members, or that of Laurentian University's board members, volunteers, or employees, or volunteers. It is that of my own, the guests, and those commenting, and the news stories that we share, the reporters' views, or their reporting. It doesn't necessarily reflect that of Laurentian University or CKLU. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Because we're going to be talking about, speaking of spraying, spraying. So spraying the stuff in our, but I thought I had shared that. So let's just see if I did. Yeah, here we go. So here's a particular person who's kind of fed up with the whole chemtrail issue, and the fact that, some people call him a conspiracy theorist just for telling people to just look up above their heads, really. And so he put a little mashup together of all, he says this is his last video he's ever going to make on this subject. And so we got the protest happening August 14th, Serpent River trading post between 9 a.m. and 12. I believe it was. It might have been 10 and 12. Anyways, be there in the morning. And they're talking about us spraying glyphosate on, in our province, chemical. Well, they're spraying massive chemicals over our heads every day, everywhere. And I would hope these same people would just be tipped off or talked about with what's going on here, and also use their efforts to stop spraying in general of chemicals over our heads, because it can't be good. It just can't be good spraying some known chemicals and some unknown, right? So here's this particular gentleman.
Fairy dust. It doesn't exist. It's never landed. It is no matter. It's not on the elemental chart.
So I've decided to do one last video for all the deniers out there. Because you keep saying that we're making this up. We can see it with our own eyes. Look up. It's just the streaks that turn into complete covering. We're not making this up. Here's the thing. It's the scientists that are saying that they're doing it, and that's what we're seeing. Once again, what is stratospheric aerosol injection? It's where they send up planes, they spray aluminum, barium, strontium into the atmosphere to block the sun. Here you go.
Stratospheric aerosol injection. You literally inject aerosols into the atmosphere.
Spraying aerosols in the atmosphere to literally test dimming the sun in the name of solving climate change.
Use tiny little bits of aluminum and essentially manage the climate.
Sun dimming technology that would reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, causing global cooling.
Geoengineering that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. Stratospheric aerosol injection.
Spray sulfuric acid in the stratosphere 20 kilometers over our head and use that to stop the planet warming up.
Aerosols would be sprayed into the atmosphere using boats or aeroplanes.
Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere.
Jets that could fly high into the atmosphere and start releasing chemicals that scientists think would reflect solar rays, thus cooling the planet.
Using high-altitude jets, millions of tons of tiny particles would be released to the stratosphere to reflect light back to space.
Geoengineering is real. It's something that the U.S. government has acknowledged for a long time. Solar radiation modification, stratospheric aerosol injection.
So like I said before, this is the last video. I'm not playing patty cakes with you deniers. Either you're involved in the cover-up, and that goes for you meteorologists, or you're just too dumb. I don't believe that. Or you're just in denial. Maybe you should just go and get your 25th booster and just get on with your life. I'm going to leave you with this pretty little picture of a plane that's spraying aerosols on one side, but the people that say these are just contrails, this one kind of ruins your whole theory on that one, doesn't it?
Yeah, so those on the radio, he's showing a plane.
Here is absolute garbage.
He's showing an airplane with only one exhaust coming out of one side of the plane and not two sides, which would show that maybe the canister for chemicals was empty on one side and the other one was spraying on the other, right? So if it was contrails, both sides would be showing something coming out, exhaust coming out of the plane. And at that point, only one side was coming out. So he showed that as an example of, it's not contrails. But I could say maybe one engine was out. Maybe one engine was out on the plane. And maybe that's the reason for that. But I don't think that's true. But a skeptic could say that, right? So that nothing is going to just come out and prove it. I think everything proves it. If you just open your eyes and open your ears. Geoengineering is real. And this particular gentleman showed, about 10 mainstream news and, explainer videos from the people actually doing the geoengineering, So if you really want to know, it's there. If you really don't want to know, you just never will. It's like anything, right? So do you care what you breathe in? If I went up to you and had some powder in my hand and I blew it in your face, would you just ignore that? Probably not. You'd probably say, what the heck are you doing? And what is that powder you just blew in my face? I think that's a common thing people would say. Or if I had a canister or something and I sprayed it in your face, I said, these are dangerous chemicals, by the way, right in your face. You wouldn't just ignore it. You wouldn't say, whatever, I don't believe you, or you'd take offense, first of all. You'd be upset that I took away your space. I came in your space and I basically assaulted you by spraying something in your face. What is the difference? of them spraying us over our heads every day. We breathe that in. It's the same thing as them coming up to us with a canister and spraying it directly in our faces because we breathe it in. Now, whether you breathe it in 10 minutes after it's sprayed and it comes down from the sky and you breathe it in, or they come right in your face and spray it in your face, it's the same thing, right? So why aren't people upset about that? Why is it just me? My wife she's she doesn't want me to bring up her name on the show, but she's, every time I go, look at that, look at this. She's like, okay, we know, we already know. We can't know anymore. So why do you keep getting upset? I'm just like, I can't believe it's still just going on all the time. I just can't believe it. It's too much, And people say, well, they would never spray us with harmful things. They probably put vitamins. They probably put vitamins in the spray because they're trying to make us healthier. Who knows what people say? Who knows what people think? I don't know anymore. I just know there are people out there who know what the heck's going on. They're trying to inform us. They do inform us. And if you want to listen, you listen. If you don't, you don't. And here you go. If you want to listen, listen.
We have to remember that we have a corporate-owned press where 85% of radio, television, and print media is owned by 5 corporations. So they're not going to talk about things that are of really serious consequence.
And in Canada, we know how it works here. It's just not corporations that own media. It's our government.
And that's somewhat of the blessing, a mixed blessing of the internet, but there's certainly plenty of information on weather modification. The Air Force is on record as saying, quote, they want to control the weather by 2025, and we are not talking about just seeding the clouds for rain. Weather modification means, quote, any activity performed with the intention of producing artificial changes in the composition, behavior, or dynamics of the atmosphere, unquote. And as of April this year, there are more than 150 different weather modification programs around the world. Since about 2000, the Department of Defense and the Department of Energy have been spraying the entire United States sky with the toxic brew of chemicals and other biologic agents.
And in Canada as well. In Canada,
I just want to show
we're
you
doing the
something.
same.
We have 2 different kinds of trails in the sky right now. One are called contrails. How many of you know what contrails are? Contrails would have been around from the ends of planes since World War II. These are very, very short exhaust trails that usually evaporate within a few minutes. You just look up at the sky and you'll just see a jet, sometimes with 4 trails, but it evaporates pretty quickly. How many of you know what chemtrails are? Nobody. The military and some commercial planes are spraying us with what are called chemtrails. I want you to look at the, and oftentimes before there's a weather front, there are heavy assaults from these planes just before a weather front is changed and comes in. Military and some commercial jets have been fitted with huge barrels of at least 49 different kinds of documented chemical poisons. Among other documented ingredients in this toxic man-made clouds are pathogenic molds, fungi, weaponized viruses, and made in some places like the secret site at Fort Detrick, Maryland, which is supposed to be a cancer site, but there are a number of scholars and professors tracking this that have big questions about this. Barium and nanoaluminum particles. What do these do to the human body? Barium is an alkaline earth mineral. It was discovered in 1774. At low doses, it can act as a muscle stimulant. At high doses, it detrimentally affects the heart and the nervous system. Barium is toxic to all mammals, and that means not just humans. Aluminum, which is the most abundant metal in the Earth's crust, is known to diminish kidney function, and destroy brain cells and cognitive function. Just think about it. Just between the aluminum and the mercury that we're breathing all the time, we've got already a serious issue about brain function and cognitive function. There is also documented evidence that the aluminum in chemtrails is released as nanoparticles, and that when they reach the Earth environment for wildlife in lakes and streams, it's causing serious problems with wildlife there. Researchers are also finding that nanoparticles interfere with the growth of plants. Nanotechnology is totally unregulated. Just this past month, a new research report came out showing and documenting for the first time that these nanoparticles actually go through the skin. Well, if you breathe them, whether they go through the skin or whether you're inhaling them, it's still a problem, a serious problem.
So a serious problem. We're inhaling them. And last night, so my brother was over and he gave me a haircut. Thank you again for that, as always. We were out in the back and we're, witnessing the smoke that we've had for a month straight or whatever. Every single day, smoke. That's something we get used to, local smoke. It just started a couple of years ago when we had mass fires that were supposedly caused by climate change. But in the Manitoba's provincial website, it said over 90% of the known fires that they had in Manitoba, they were started by arsonists. But anyways, we're supposed to believe that they all were started by climate change. Ever since then, we get used to just smoke all the time. Just there's always smoke in the air. Is there always smoke? How could there always be smoke every single day? Even if the wind blows the same direction every single day. Like how many fires are going on around us? But you're just supposed to get used to just there's local smoke. Burns your eyes and dries your throat and whatever, right? So last night we were observing the local smoke and the bizarre way the sun looked through it. And we were watching planes going over our heads, spraying us. And just conversing about it again, just like we're doing now. And how can we allow this to happen? Does anyone want to wake up? Is anyone going to do anything about it? How long is it going to keep happening until we get the results that this particular lady was talking about when you're sprayed with poisons every day? Eventually something's got to give, right? And they're making sure that we're sprayed every day and we got all this smoke every day in our air that we're breathing. And so that was a good enough conversation. Then afterwards, cut my hair, we had a conversation, we went out for a bit, and I noticed the smell. So I came back in. I said to my brother, "Come on out. What do you smell?" He goes, "Oh, I can't really smell that good, so I don't know if I'll be able to be a good candidate to let you know what I smell." But anyways, he smelled it right away. He goes, "It smells like earth. It smells like ground." And I said, "That smells like mold." He goes, "Yeah, you're right." So if you ever walk into a place that's moldy or smell like your bread when it's gone moldy in the fridge, you know what that mold smells like, especially black mold. It smelled exactly just strong black mold is what it smelled like after the spraying yesterday. Where I live anyways. And then to hear this lady say that the nanoparticles that they put in these chemicals are also found to have mold in it, right? So right away I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I smelled yesterday. So what could these things that we're breathing in, including mold that are sprayed over our heads, what is it doing to us health-wise, right? So I'll just leave you with that wonderful message before we get back together possibly Monday. So we will not have a show either tomorrow or Friday as we'll be traveling, and I have to actually heading out on the road right now. So thanks everyone for being with us today, and remember to stay aware, like, share, take care, and all that stuff. And stay tuned now for your shot daily on CKLU 96.7 FM. We'll be back same time, same place on Monday on the same platforms, God willing. So have a good couple days before the weekend. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you then. Stay safe, stay aware. And ciao for now.